Hello and welcome to the Lyle podcast. I am your host, Elle Bottrell, and I am just so very excited, joyful to be here with you. Today we're going to explore patience, and this is rather interesting because I've been pretty impatient. I've been impatient with, for example, of getting this podcast out more regularly. I still have exciting episodes that I've already recorded that I look forward to sharing, and but it's hard for me to these days sit down, have the energy, the focus, the capacity, the resources to have these conversations. So I'm so delighted that the stars have aligned and brought us here together today. So patience. I think when we talk about patience, we're also talking about impatience. And more often than not, it seems impatience is our way of being in the world. It's how our society tends to operate. It's why dieting doesn't work. It's why, as a physical therapist, so many injuries happen because people are impatient. It's why we eat fast food and all these processed foods. And so we have all sorts of heart disease, strokes, diabetes. It's a big reason why corporations can take advantage of us as individuals because we're impatient. We're impatient with logging into a phone or computer or paying for something at the store. And so there are things like biometrics, and we are really, because we are so impatient, we're so vulnerable. And anything that is worth having or experiencing in life is takes time, and it's worth the time. And yet, and still, I and we are so impatient. And why are we so impatient? Why are we so impatient? We are in a society of busyness. We are in a society of go, go, go. Slowing down requires that we notice. It requires that we notice how we feel. It requires that we know our thoughts. We feel our sadness. We feel grief. We feel anxiety. We might have things like anger emerge. We might notice even excitement and hope and joy. And even those are emotions that we enjoy. In general, we are a society that hides from emotion, from things that are in, some would say, like the spirit, like this kind of movement, this kind of energy. And so and so in this hiding, we're perpetually on this hamster wheel. It's part of we've got to work so hard to acquire things so that we can have the house, have the retirement, work so hard so we can quit working, rather than having the patience to have a lifestyle that is sustainable, that would feed you for the rest of our lives. Like if we had lifestyles that, if our vocation, so one of the first questions on the Lyle podcast, if you've been following along, or if you're new here, one of the first questions is I ask a guest, what is your work and vocation? And it's very intentional that I don't say, what is your career? It's very intentional that I don't say, what is your job, or what field do you work in? And that's partly because I hope soon, in the future, I visualize having people that aren't making money. They don't have a career. They're homemakers. They volunteer. They and those would be, I guess, the kind of some of the big categories. Or they're disabled, and so they're differently abled. So in our society, these are people that we tend to discard, and yet they have a calling. We all have a calling, and our calling is to be this expression, a unique expression of ourselves in the world. And to know what that expression is takes time. It takes curiosity, it takes exploration, it takes iterations of, I'm going to try this and let's find out. There's only one way to find out what's going to happen. And so I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to try, and then I'm going to see. And based on those results, I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow. So growth takes time. So many people, it's such a common joke. I've seen even professional comics, really high level people make fun of learning apps for languages like Duolingo. And this is an area that I actually have quite a bit of patience in, because I want to be like quasi mostly fluent in Spanish. And I don't know where I am on the continuum, but I'm better than I used to be. Okay. And by being better at where I used to be, I can communicate more with people that I encounter in my community, clients that I work with, patients that I work with, people at the grocery store, people on the street when I travel. And I'm patient enough to try to do just one lesson a day. And Duolingo wants me to pay, to have unlimited access. But I am patient, and I'll go through, and there's a little bit of maybe shaming that they do to try to get you to be there more often. And it's okay if I go away for a time. It's still my intention. It's still a value, and I want to come back to it. But if there's seasons of life, there was many months here where I wasn't doing it, and I'm happy to say it's sneaking back in as a morning routine. And I'm currently on a streak of one day. I did it today, but in the last 3 weeks, I had a streak of like 12 days after months of not doing it. And because of this slow, steady work, I can now, my ability to conjugate verbs is so much better. My ability to express my thoughts is so much better. I can understand and speak a bit more in the past tense. My vocabulary has increased, all with this slow, steady. Same thing, I'm working on my voice. And so I have an intention to do this vocal practice to strengthen my literal voice, my literal vocal cords and diaphragm, to have a clearer, more expressive voice, a voice that can carry, that has strength and endurance and capacity. So because I've been with my voice in so many ways, figuratively, but this is physically, been raised and brought up and conditioned by society to have a quiet voice, and I'm working to change that. I try to play guitar a little bit every day. All these kind of things. If we have our value, the patience, the slow and steady wins the race. It's the tortoise and the hare. We need to be the tortoise. This wisdom is not new. I'm not saying anything new, because things that are true are always there. But this conversation serves as a reminder of coming back home, coming back to you, coming back to what you value, what you are interested in, what is important to you. And I think in doing so, we approach healthier living, because we're closer to who we're meant to be. Who we're meant to be is the most satisfying way to live. And if I can come back to talking about, so my work for 2 decades as a physical therapist, so much of what I saw, so many of the injuries, the pain, the suffering that I was helping people with is preventable. It would be preventable if people just had a morning routine that took their body through the full range and capacity of what they could do. That instead of having rounded in shoulders, that shoulder blades, we bring those shoulder blades, those scapula back and open our chest. That we, instead of hands being thumbs turned down and in, shoulders rotated in, that we open up and go back the other ways. Instead of our arms being mostly always down, we get our arms all the way up. Instead of our fingers being curled in, typing, grasping things, we work on opening them wide and stretching our tendons and joints. Same things down into our toes. Our toes in the US, this is my background, so we are shod, okay? We wear shoes all the time, and we do it when babies are like wee little lasses and lads, right? Before they can even walk, it's so cute to put their pudgy little feet and toes, slide them into these cute, stylish shoes that are never going to get worn out, that they'll probably grow out within a couple of weeks or a month. And we're limiting the capacity. So toes have all the capacity of hands, all the things we can do except for opposition, I suppose, opposable thumbs. We can't do that. But apart from that, we can curl and fist in. We can do like a puppet hand kind of motion. We can do all those things. This kind of rotation ability at our wrist, we have that in our feet. But we lose that when we wear shoes all the time. And so we see things like bunions emerge, and then people say, oh, well, my family had it, so I'm going to have it. Or, oh, yeah, my family had bad back or bad knees, so I'm going to have it, versus understanding that things are cause and effect. And things like osteoarthritis is wear and tear, so it's cause and effect. It's not contagious, it's behavior based. So yes, if you behave the same way that your family did, you're likely to present with the same problems. And here we're talking nature and nurture. And so yes, your bones are going to be similarly shaped to what you were genetically given, and so you might have a predisposition towards things, but you can absolutely change that so I talked about mobility, and now I'm getting into talking about like strengthening and activities that we do. So if your family tends to slouch, you're probably going to work on slouching your whole life, right? Versus if you're a concert pianists and violinists or dancers, you're probably going to be trained to have a much more upright posture. So our body changes with what we do. Think of a gymnast, how they stretch over time, or somebody in ballet, how they stretch over time. So yes, there's predispositions, but then those people within that work to really elevate the elasticity of their body. So much pain and suffering that I've helped people with for 2 decades is preventable if people just did the mobility routine and stretched out those tight calves and those tight hip flexors and the backside of their shoulder, the rotator cuff. Those are some big ones if you want to take away some things and if they just, I think of the game Jenga, the blocks games with the, you slide things out and then you're trying to not have the thing tumble. And if our head is really far forward, we're like that unstable Jenga game where and we have muscles that are acting like cranes to help us up. So if we can just keep our head stacked but back over our body, we're much less likely to have shoulder pain, neck pain, headaches. So many things are preventable. We already talked about cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, depression. So much of these are activity-based. If we just had a regular walking, running, swimming, dancing, biking, rowing, kayaking, stand-up paddling. There's so many, hiking, snowboarding, racquetball, tennis, basketball, soccer. There's so many right ways to get cardio, but so many people don't. And these are like the leading causes of death when we think of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, suicide, and just even the quality of life. And I am currently working in a setting where I'm just seeing, just in a community of people, that the culture is really, really amplified to not take care of themselves. There's just so many fast food restaurants. There's so many people that are overweight, and that's just a microcosm of the US. And then we see so many countries adopting this. Guatemala is a country that's very dear to my heart. I'm a quarter Guatemalan. Some high school, or not high school, some college friends and that became roommates recruited me to be roommates by saying that they were kind of spazzes and that I was kind of like a half spaz, and so they felt I would fit in. And they called me Guatemalan half spaz, so that was their nickname for me that year in college. It would have continued, and did continue, but they graduated. And so but Guatemala is this place very dear to me, and I started going down there in the mid-teens, like 2015, something like that. And it was devastating. Might feel like a strong word, but it is. There's like a soul, just a deep sadness to see the main influence of the US there that was visible, that I could see, was fast food. They had McDonald's, they had Papa John's, they had KFC, the ice cream place, any Dunkin' Donuts, like you name it, any. And the US is empire, right? It's superpower. People want to be like it. We want to be ingratiated it because of our power and our wealth. And this is what we're exporting. All these killers to give money. And people, it's easier. And it's like home cooked Guatemalan food is so delicious. I didn't like oatmeal growing up, and it's maybe because my family just like how it was made, because I eat it now, but I didn't start having it till my 20s when I was backpacking, and I could either have some warm oatmeal, hot oatmeal, and like in the cold mountain morning, or I could have like a power bar or something. Remember power bars? I ate so many power bars in my 20s, and then Cliff bars and Luna bars. But I could either have a bar like that or some Gorp. Here on the West Coast, I don't know if people know what that is, but good old fashioned raisins and peanuts. It was like the precursor to trail mixes. Now trail mixes are like ubiquitous, but that was, at the time, that was something that you had to make. You had to go buy some raisins, you'd go buy some peanuts, and you'd buy some M&Ms, and you could do whatever, but that was like the basic kind of thing. And so through this, anyway, I digress, but funny story. But I, through that, started having oatmeal, and then realized, oh, there's things I have preference for. And now I had oatmeal this morning. I put in some pecans in it. I put in some dried mulberries, some fresh banana, and some flaxseed in there. And it was delicious. Okay. And yesterday, I didn't put it in today. They threw some cinnamon in there. Yum. But when I went to Guatemala for breakfast, I was staying with some family. So like my dad's cousins. So, and I don't understand how to label that. Cousins once removed, second cousins. I don't know. I've been told, and it doesn't stick in my brain. So if you know the difference, congratulations. Smarty pants. That's just something that doesn't stick for me. But I was down with family, and my dad's cousins' kids and their kids, and I was Tia to their kids. It was super fun riding around in the back of this SUV, uh, no seatbelt. These kids that I just met, like falling asleep on my lap, on my shoulder, like windows down, passing sugarcane fields. It was seeing volcanoes in the distance. It was just really incredible. So I'm staying with family, and then, I'm just going to eat what we eat, right? That's what you do when you travel. And even if it's not your normal jam, to me, the appropriate thing to do is to try, right? And so, like, porridge is what we were going to have for breakfast. And I was like, oh, because for me to handle oatmeal, it always had to be like thick, substantive. Let's get to it. The porridge was delicious. So this is like a Guatemalan breakfast, like some, what do they call it? Desayuno típico is, eggs, plantains, and beans. Yeah, like healthy, yummy. It gives you like all the kind of things that you need versus Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, and they have, there's this vegetable in Central America called loroco, and it's kind of like asparagus. And I had it. I don't eat animals these days. I'm a veggie, but at the time I ate meat, and I volunteered with this girls' school for indigent for poor girls. Very, very, IMA is a really great school in Misco in Guatemala. If you're looking for a program to support, the money goes straight to helping people. IMA, IMA. And I did a lot of volunteering with them for a while. But they would do these one, it's a half day of school, and the kids would come, girls, as a girls only school, would come in the afternoon. And the best way to learn is to get to be well, there's many things to learning, but you need to have fuel in your brain, right? Your brain to learn takes a lot of energy, and so they would get this home cooked meal. And there were girls that would take home some of the food for siblings that hadn't eaten, the younger brother. But this chicken stew they made with loroco, oh, it was so good. And it's so good that I had to figure out what is this vegetable? What is, this slow, to make it good, it was slow. It had to marinate, it had to simmer. They were making that all morning so that those girls could have it at noon. So it is, yeah, devastating. So, like, feels like it just dries up my soul. Of course, my soul can't do anything, but it's just like this devastating, I guess, to the knowledge of what is happening in the world. And like MLK talked about, like that arc of history slowly bending towards justice. Just things like this just make me feel like, oh, the arc is way slower than I thought. When you see just all the ways that people don't take care of one another, that there are people that this is what they want their influence to be in another country is, yeah, we got to get our Pizza Hut in there. We got to get our Mickey D's in there. We got to get our McCafes. Which, by the way, their McDonald's are way cooler. They actually have like a bakery kind of pastry place, and then your kind of hamburger side. I do not like McDonald's, and I'm not supporting them. I don't think they're a good company, but all these things, this is like the culture that we're in. This is what we're steeped in. This is what we're raised to believe is good. This is what's reinforced at every turn. Like I live in an area where I think there's just even more Teslas than I've ever seen, and Rivians, but so many Teslas, and people drive so fast in them. And it makes me upset because force equals mass times acceleration. So as a physical therapist, I had to take quite a number of semesters of physics and into getting specifics with biomechanics, how the physics of the body and things like torque and ground reaction forces, blah, blah, blah. But force equals mass times acceleration. So a car has a certain amount of mass, its weight, how heavy the car is. And then, so force, if I were to, and if you're listening, I'm have one hand flat and I'm bumping it with a closed fist. So I'm hitting my hands very slowly. That equals force. Force equals mass times acceleration. So my hand has the same weight, but the faster I go, the more force. So like a boxer or something, it's really like how quick can you jab and punch. So they train their muscles and their nervous system to be able to do that. So a car that has that mass, these cars can accelerate so fast based on the technology. It's not safer for the world to have people like just racing off the line, because we know we make mistakes. And I thought, oh, and these were pitched as kind of like these safe self-driving cars, and the number of like dented in like Teslas, scraped up hubcaps, totaled Teslas. It's like the same. So force equals mass times acceleration. If we want to have a healthier society, we don't need a car that accelerates faster, because when you get into an accident, when you didn't see that car go through the stoplight, or you didn't see that pedestrian or that cyclist, and you take off the line like that, when you hit them, it's going to be way more dangerous. Patience. But people love it because it's faster. It can get them a few lengths of car ahead. It can get them through that next stoplight. It can get them to where they're going a couple minutes earlier. Patience. So patience is something, and I'm trying to cover a lot of ground here, give examples, and I want to wrap it up by talking a bit about patience in becoming who we are. And this is where comparison comes in a lot, where we have these narrative, we have these stories, I have these stories of who I'm supposed to be, how much is supposed to be in my retirement account, how many things am I supposed to own, the house, a car, am I supposed to have a second house, a second car, am I supposed to have a vacation home, how many belongings I'm supposed to have, like how much is in my retirement, how soon do I get to retire, what do my relationships look like, am I married, am I single, have I ever been divorced, have I had children, do I have grandchildren, where am I at in my profession, am I climbing up the ladder, am I getting promoted, am I getting recognized, am I making more money, am I getting more time off? We can be so impatient about this, and we can compare that I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and so I'm going to hurry up and try to do this, I'm going to hurry up and try to do that, versus, and believe me folks, right now I'm talking to myself, and that's where this generated from, of, oh man, patience. Yeah, I need to be thinking about patience more. I need to realize that the mood I'm in right now, the emotion that I'm having, is temporary, but like I can work on Duolingo, or I can work on my flexibility every day, or I can work on my strengthening every week, or cardio, and have these consistent goals, or be steady about eating vegetables and drinking water. I need to do the same thing when taking care of my spirit, when taking care of relationships, and know that these things take time. And The last podcast that was just me, I talked about seeds, planting seeds of community. And it takes patience. But we also need to, this is a more of like within myself, like I might be doing the things, but I could be so hard on myself. I can really just participate so much in shame by not being patient, with not having that long-term perspective, but thinking I need to get there now. And because I'm not there now, I'm not enough. And nobody's going to want to be with me. Nobody's going to love me. Nobody's going to listen to what I have to say. Nobody's going to care about what I have to offer the world and what I have to be in the world. Part of shame is to believe lies about yourself, for one. And it's also this belief that your behaviors can't change. It's also this belief that these things, that these lies that you believe, that they can't change, that they're always going to be there. Shame has this rigidity to it. It has this regressiveness to it. But through practice, through contemplative practices, through prayer, through mindfulness, through activity, through being in nature, through creating, through working to be compassionate presence in the world, to be kind and present to people, that changes us. And it's not about perfection. It's not about arriving. It's just being more your authentic self in the world, which is to know that you're enough right here, right now. So your worth is never, my worth, our worth is never debatable. And we have these dark sides. People say the shadow self. We have ego. And we talked about this on a recent episode with Amy McNee about dirt covering us up. And that can be things that we kind of participated in, and that can be things that people throw at us. And she talked about having just a real high intolerance for that. And there's a suffering with that, but we get to choose the kind of suffering that we want. And growth is uncomfortable. To really grow, to really learn, you can't be impatient with it. I talked to my grad students a lot about this and learned over time to just set the stage at the beginning of the semester. I saw them in their first year of a 3-year graduate program. And rather just getting right into the material, setting the stage for like, hey, this is a marathon, and what is it like to learn? And then saying, oh, well, learning's like growing. And so when we grow, when you lift weights, you can't do biceps every day. You can't do quads every day. You've got to take a break. So you load and then you relax. You load and you relax. So you need rest. You need recovery time. So and we need that emotionally. And I think this is really, we still struggle a lot with the physical, as I've discussed, like eating well, taking care of our physical body, our physical environment. We pollute things because, we can just go on and on, the things we're impatient about, that we don't want to take the time to wash dishes. So we use disposable things, and that permanently, for hundreds of thousands of years, we have this waste then because of it, and the toll that it takes on the environment. So we struggle with that. We struggle with relating to other people and being patient with that. And this next spiral, but I'm kind of pointing towards like spiral dynamics. I'm not going to really get into this because I'm not anywhere near an expert on this, and I'm happy to talk about it in the future, even not as an expert, but I'm just not equipped to talk about that today, and that's not the intention. But spiral dynamic, and there's these color codings and talking about progressing through the world and kind of consciousness of and ways of relating to each other. And we think of like tribalism and war and I'm going to take care of myself, and then I need to take care of one another, like these kind of ways that, and it's again kind of MLK, like the arc of history bends towards justice, so it's this idea which has been so helpful for me and is big long-term patience, to believe that I am participating in this beautification, this celebration of life. It helps me have so much perspective about the day to day. And I think this topic is coming up for me right now because I experience a lot of decision fatigue. I experienced it a lot as a business owner for over a decade, and now I just have a lot of freedom in my life. So every day I just get to kind of decide, and my life is I'm super adventurous and nomadic right now, and that takes a lot of energy because every day I have to decide, like just even the physical space that I'm going to be in, and I have all sorts of options about when I'm not at work, but in the evenings and the weekends, of like how, like where I'm physically going to be, how I'm going to use that time. I don't have well, let's just say that I just have a lot of freedom, and so a lot of decision fatigue, and there's a weariness that comes to that I forget about rest, because I feel like I should be progressing. I feel like I want to get these podcast episodes out. I want to be writing more. I want to be building this community. I want to help people heal. And there's some part of this that is driven by a place in me that isn't rooted in loving in myself and isn't rooted in my worthiness. And isn't that so interesting, that the main gift we have to give the world? So living my healthiest life, helping you and others to live your healthiest life is best I can tell my calling. And there's a dark side to that I get to learn about and grow into, and learn about the parts that aren't motivated from a good space, but motivated by a place where I'm trying to earn my worth. And so I have all these decisions to make, and I can get really down and feel like, no, I have to go and I have to push through, and I should feel better than I do, and this shouldn't be so hard. And it comes back to patience. Can I be in this present moment? Know that there's time to rest, that today I can choose, in this moment, I can choose to not believe that I'm just a cog in the wheel. I can choose to just be the image of, let me see if I can quote myself right. So I wrote some poetry. May I open like a wildflower to the sun. So that was a very short poem, but such a meaningful imagery to me. When I used to trail run more frequently, I'm not able to do that very often right now, but when I used to do that, I would stop and take pictures of beetles and lizards and flowers and the vistas, that were ever changing, and the suns and the clouds and plants and whatever kind of wildlife or beauty that I might encounter. And I just got increasingly, like, I marveled at, just my ability to notice and like the detail of plants. And then I would stop and take these pictures of flowers that were the whole bloom was the size of my pinky nail, and I would put my finger in the frame just to help me realize that. And there is such a wisdom and a truth that that flower up on that trail is living its purpose, just being there, even if nobody passes by it. And that is a wonderful reminder just to be able to rest and be, which is different than being lazy, than procrastinating, being scared. Rest is its own thing. And we've talked about rest before on the podcast, rhythms of rest. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me today as I learn and explore about patience and invite you into the process. I hope to be with you again soon. May you always see the blessing. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the LYHL podcast. I hope to see you at the next one. You can make sure that happens by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and listen to past guests. There's really just a wealth of knowledge there. This is a passion of mine to help you live your healthiest life, and to do that together in community. Contributions would make this work so much more easy, and you can do that via the link in the show notes or the website through Ko-fi. And the website is www.theellbottrell.com. You can join the newsletter, the LYHL newsletter, via the website and show notes. There's also opportunities if Instagram is your thing. I'm on there on occasion, and you'll look for the LYHL community, and LYHL is LYHL. If you want to see the video of this, if you're not already there, you want to go over to YouTube and you'll look for the Elle Bottrell, and you'll be able to watch videos from there. Merchandise options to help share that positivity, helping others to live their healthiest life. And you can find that via the website or emailing me at info@theellbottrell.com. Thanks so much, and may you always see the blessing.